What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got big Digimon news, ladies and gentlemen. We've got very, very, very big Digimon news. There's a new keyword skill. Yeah, this is big. We don't get new keyword skills very often. I would say one per set, but it's not even one per set. It's in some sets we get one. We are at that stage now where the game is getting on a bit, not in a bad way, but it means that we've had a lot of mechanics, so we're not going to see new mechanics introduced every 5 minutes. Having a new one is a very big deal. Yeah. Translations here from the lovely folks over at Ensan Gaming and the lovely me, because I like trying to translate cards nowadays, and, you know, I'm not going to be posting this without checking with people like Ensan Gaming first. But I'm doing all right, I think. I think I'm doing all right. So we'll get to the new one in a minute, but first we need to have a chat about Bearmon. I know. Look how adorable Bearmon is, as a side note. Free cost to play normally, 0 cost to Digivolve, 2,000 power, all fairly standard. But then we have an inheritable skill on your turn, once per turn. When this Digimon changes the target of their attack, it gains plus 3,000 power. That's all going to make a lot more sense in a minute. Plus 3,000 power is huge. We see a bunch of inheritable skills that give an extra 1. We see some that gain an extra 2. Gaining an extra 3, nuts. Absolutely huge, but there's a very good reason for it. So then we get to the level 4, and that's where it starts getting interesting. We got Grizzlymon. 5 cost to play normally, 2 cost to Digivolve, 5,000 power. Both the 5 cost to play normally and the 5,000 power at high. 2 cost to Digivolve is about normal, so bear all of that in mind. And we've got an inheritable skill that when this Digimon changes the target of their attack, it gains 3,000 power. Bearing in mind, that's the exact same inheritable skill that we saw on Bearmon. Alright? So, that's kind of cool, right? Because then you're getting an extra 6,000 power if you change the target of your attack. What is this all talking about? It's the new keyword skill, Strike, which may or may not be called Strike. Essentially what we've got, there are 2 kanji. The first one is, now I use Wani Kanji to learn kanji, and they've got that one as stab, that's toe. And then you've got Shin, which is advance. So it's basically stab advance, which Ensan Gaming is translating as strike. I've seen some people translate it as dash. I'm not loving that translation as much. So I'm going to call it strike for the time being. We don't know what the official translation is. Now, bearing in mind, this is BT11. And we haven't even seen the official reveal of BT10 yet. So it's probably going to be a few minutes until we actually get the official translation. Now, Ensan Gaming are using Strike, so I'm willing to go along with that for the time being. Maybe we're going to see a better translation I like more. I haven't seen what DigimonCard.dev's interpretation of it is. I might ask some of my friends that actually read Japanese properly how they would read it. But it's something along those lines. It's something to do with changing your attack or advancing your attack or moving your attack or something along those lines. That's basically what they're getting at here. But what is after this Digimon declares their attack, you may change the target to the opponent's Digimon in the active status with the highest DP. And that's very important. Yes, it lets you attack unsuspended Digimon. Good. But it specifically has to be unsuspended Digimon with the highest HP. And straight off the bat, and I know I'm not the only one that's thought about this, Mother D Reaper. Because Mother D Reaper is obviously very central to all of these Reaper decks. And it is a Digi-Egg that can exist on the field. And it's got 15,000 power, which will generally be the highest amount of power. But you're not really going to attack with it. So it's rarely going to be suspended and be able to be attacked. And what this basically does is it allows you to then go after Mother D Reaper. Because you declare your attack, but then you use Strike to change it to the highest Digimon, which in this case, most of the time, there's no guarantee, but most of the time this would be Mother D Reaper, which is a pretty big deal. So yeah, I'm not saying it is directly just a response to that. It might not be, but I'm saying this is clearly one of, at least initially, on the face of it, this is one of the best early uses for it. It's as simple as that. This is one of the best uses for it, and I'm going to be honest with you, it seems really good. Plus, you know, there's the whole, you can change the target to an unsuspended Digimon, which is clearly a pretty big deal, because you can take out unsuspended Digimon. You know, bearing in mind, most of the time you leave your Digimon unsuspended to keep them out of harm's way. Here, this will still work, unless it's your highest HP Digimon. So I really like this. This seems like a really very good skill. Bearing in mind, if you're using this level 4 with Strike, you're actually an 8,000 power level 4, assuming you've Digivolved from Bearmon, which you should. But then we get to level 5, we got Grappleomon here. And of course, if you've evolved into Grappleomon and you use Strike, and obviously this has Strike, what you've got here is an extra 6,000 power. So Grappleomon here is a 7 cost to play normally, 3 cost to Digivolve, 7,000 power. Extremely standard for a level 5. But then if you Digivolve from Bearmon and Grizzlymon, and then use Strike, you're a 13,000 power level 5. Now, you kind of have to be, because bearing in mind, Strike forces you to attack. You either go after whoever you targeted, or you go after the unsuspended Digimon with the highest DP. So you can't just attack a suspended 13,000 power Digimon, or even an unsuspended 13,000 power if there's a 15,000 power in play. But if your opponent has an unsuspended 12,000 power Digimon and nothing higher, then Strike will allow you to take it out. It gives you another option, while placing some pretty strong restrictions on it. I love how Strike works. In terms of competitive Digimon, I love this, because it allows you to do things that you generally would not be able to do. But it's not that simple. It is, well, yeah, you can go and target an unsuspended Digimon, but it's got to be the most powerful, and you get really good power bumps, but only if you're using Strike. And this is kind of where we're going with this, you see. I love it, ladies and gentlemen. I absolutely love it. Oh, yeah, and you've got an inheritable skill on your turn, once per turn. When this Digimon's attack target changes, i.e. when you use Strike, trash the top card of your opponent's security. So the level 6 is obviously going to have Strike. That's kind of the point. But now, when it uses Strike, you get an extra 6,000 power and trash the top card of your opponent's security. And like, the only way your opponent stops you doing this is by having all their Digimon suspended. I love it. And then we get Marsmon. Now, I'm checking just over on digimoncard.dev here to make sure I'm not being stupid. Yeah, we have had Marsmon before. We had a Marsmon in BT8, which, interestingly enough, did have a skill that let you attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon. As we've discussed, not the same as Strike, but, you know, it's kind of like a cousin ability. It's a similar kind of thing, and I love that both the Marsmon we've had do that. But what we've got here is 12 cost to play normally, 4 cost to Digivolve, 12,000 power. Yeah, we see 11-3-11, we see 12-4-12, this is fine. And you've got that same Strike ability. And as a side note, remember I've said one of the best uses for this is Mother D Reaper, who has 15,000 power. You've got 12,000, you buff it with the level 3 and the level 4, you're up to 18,000 power. So, I mean, the most we've ever seen naturally is 16,000 power. So not only do you get to change your target to the highest DP Digimon that your opponent's got unsuspended, but you're also going to be more powerful than them unless they've also buffed up loads. What this also means is there's going to be mind... And I love this, seriously, for competitive Digimon, I adore this, because there's going to be all kind of mind games where your opponent knows, you know, good players are going to know which Digimon their opponent wants to take out. So you're almost leaving like a super high-powered sacrifice so your opponent can't use strike on the one they want to, and I love this. Oh yeah, and when you Digivolve, you've got Shingeki, which we know to be called Blitz. You can attack when your opponent has one or more memory, i.e., if you should pass the turn over to your opponent, it doesn't actually pass the turn over to your opponent until you've attacked. And then, of course, you've got Strike combined with it. So when you Digivolve into Marsmon, Blitz will let you attack, even if the turn should have passed over to your opponent. And then, because you're attacking, you get to use Strike as well to go after the highest unsuspended Digimon. This is all coming up beautiful. Oh, and I haven't actually said it yet. Marsmon is, of course, a super rare. Then, on your turn, once per turn, when the target of this Digimon's attack changes, unsuspend this Digimon. And then for each red tamer you have in play, gain a memory. So basically, when you use Strike, assuming you've gone through the whole evolution line, you gain an extra 6,000 power, trash the top card of your opponent's security, and unsuspend. Now, as a side note, yes, you can use Strike again. Strike is not once per turn, so when you attack a second time, you can use Strike again. But all of these inheritable skills that we see on the pre-evolutions, as well as the skill on Marsmon itself, they are limited to once during your turn. So yes, you can unsuspend and attack again, which is lovely. And yes, on your second attack, you can use Strike to go after the highest HP unsuspended Digimon that your opponent has. But you don't get the 3,000 power buff, you don't get to trash the top card of your opponent's security, and you don't gain the memory and unsuspend. But bearing in mind, trash the top card of your opponent's security and attack twice? That's kind of amazing. That's like 3 security cards gone. Also, it's worth pointing out, and I have checked the text on this just to make sure, Bearmon and Grizzlymon buff you by 3,000 until the end of the turn. What that means is that when you use Strike, you get the extra 6,000 power for that attack. But then because you unsuspend, you can then attack, normally, but you still have 18,000 power because it is until the end of the turn. So it's not for the attack, it is until the end of the turn, which is a very big deal. This is all in all a pretty big deal, I'll be honest with you. The super rares in this set are knocking it out of the park. I don't think we've had a set of super rares as good as this. And if you want to argue, please do so in the comment section. But I really don't remember a set we've had where every super rare, I was like, oh, that's broken. Oh, that's broken. Oh, that's broken. Every time I talk about a super rare, I'm like, this is amazing. But I'm sorry, they all look amazing, and I'm not going to lie to you. I thought Shoutmon looked amazing, and then I looked at Mervamon, and I'm like, oh, that Mervamon looks amazing. Digimon, super excited about Digimon. So, I'm sorry, there's just so many good super rares in this set that are making me really excited. I am sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But hey, you know the deal. Tell me what you think about all of these in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Digimon and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.